All right.
Nice.
This is something that Moe Khan and I have been talking about off air. The Montreal Alouettes go out and they sign a few days ago Troy Smith, former Heisman Trophy winner, to a 2-year contract. Of course, Troy Smith is on the practice roster right now, and as Mo was telling us off air, he believes that Smith will remain off of the Alouettes roster, even though Calvillo is concussed. So the question is, was this a good signing? Of course, Smith having been on the Owls practice roster for a negotiation list for a long, long time. They finally get their man, as it were, and now he comes in to see what he can do, whether or not he can get up to speed with the CFL game, learn it, and be a guy that the Alouettes can maybe turn to as the future franchise quarterback. And that's what they're doing right now. Pop and company are evaluating Troy Smith just as much as Troy is evaluating the CFL and to see whether it's a good fit for him. And so Mo and I talked about this off air, and I said this is a phenomenal signing. It's low risk. This is maybe the guy that will take over for Calvillo. I love the signing. And Moe Khan said, what?
Oh, you want me to kick it off?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought I was waiting for you to carry on.
God.
Sorry.
I don't know what you're looking at on that
I'm
computer.
looking at his stats right now.
I want to know if it's something to do with something else. You're prepping for some other show.
Maybe.
But it's like you're not even here when you're here.
I am here. No, I was getting his stats lined up looking at some college numbers as well.
All right.
Okay, well, look, obviously Troy Smith, we all know who he is. Former Ohio State quarterback, Heisman winner in 2006, got smoked by the Florida Gators in the BCS national title game, my Florida Gators. And afterwards went on to a very short NFL career with Baltimore.
4 seasons.
Yeah, Baltimore, San Fran, a cup of coffee with Pittsburgh. The one knock on Troy Smith going into the NFL at that time was his accuracy, the lack of accuracy, that he wasn't as strong going against inferior competition in the Big Ten. Florida kind of exposed him as a quarterback, a much faster defense that essentially dropped him down from being a projected second round pick to being a 4th, if not 5th round pick, which he was. Once he arrived at the NFL level, 52%, 55%, 50% for his career as a passer. Now you come to the CFL. And I know, Matt, you said strong arm, lively arm is the key to the CFL game. Sure it is, but you also have to be accurate. Look at the great quarterbacks in the CFL. Ricky Ray, Calvillo, Lule, Dave Dickinson. We can go through the list of quarterbacks. They've all been strong, accurate quarterbacks. And in this case for Troy Smith, now, I'm not saying he's going to be the quarterback come week 10 of the CFL season here. Unless he's improved dramatically on his throwing mechanics and his ability to be more accurate and on point with his throws, he will not survive in the CFL as a quarterback. And that's why, if I'm the Alouettes, I go Josh Nieswander and Tanner Marsh, who have had more experience in the system, which is key, of course, but also at this level. And again, Troy Smith, 29 years old, how many years can he really theoretically give you at that age? Whereas Nieswander, 23, young, and he has plenty of years ahead of him to develop as a quarterback.
All right, so by the way, 7-3 right now. Eski's just picking up a field goal. Argonauts continue to lead. My take on it is Troy Smith is a phenomenal talent and a guy who's ideally suited for the CFL. Now, some might point to Quincy Carter being signed, a couple of years ago, a guy who started some games with the Cowboys, had a decent amount of success, had a whole bunch of wins under his belt as a Cowboys NFL quarterback. But Troy Smith is a different animal. If you saw his press conference or his 7 or 8 minute would you call it a presser, where he was at practice, the media scrutinized him, challenged him, grilled him, and every single answer that Troy Smith gave was absolutely perfect. Some of it was diplomatic, some of it was politically correct, some of it was pandering to the media, and some of it was just downright honesty. Especially when Herb Zurkowski was grilling him. I don't know if you saw those questions.
Did you see his T-shirt that Herb wore?
I didn't see that, but when he was grilling Troy Smith, he basically brought up the national champion. Do you think that your performance in the game made you drop to the 5th round in the NFL draft? And right away, just for the jugular, right away. It's kind of establishing his territory, right? I'm Herb Zurkowski. I'm the main guy around here. This is what you have to look forward to. Brutal honesty. And you're not going to skate away from anything just because you have a name in this business. That's what I took away from Herb's opening question to Troy Smith in that press conference. But what you saw from Troy Smith was a 28-year-old guy.
29.
29? I heard him say 28.
Going on 30 soon.
Okay, so 29-year-old guy who's been humbled by the game of football and has admittedly said it so publicly as recently as a couple of days ago. He's a guy who's, again, won the Heisman Trophy. No question about his athletic talent. Mo will question maybe his accuracy a little bit, but he's a guy who seems to be very loyal to the people that are loyal to him. So, i.e., he's been working with Ohio State, helping to recruit, working with some of the current players on that football roster, and really showing a willingness to learn behind the scenes. And that, to me, shows great intellect and great realization of where he is in his life. And I think he's going to look at this Alouettes opportunity as just, a saving grace, as something that could really change the rest of his next 5 or 6 years. Looking at a guy like Anthony Calvillo, learning from a guy like that, and he gave him the proper respect in that press conference, talking about how, respected Anthony Calvillo is, that he's going to try and learn from him, and that, he's just here to be the right teammate. Everything he said in that press conference gave me such confidence that he's here for the right reasons and not here for Troy Smith. He's not a guy that's big on Twitter, right? I don't even know if he is on Twitter. In fact, I actually looked him up the other day. I couldn't find him. But he's not here to be self-promoting. He's been humbled by the game of football. And to me, Mo, when you talk about the X's and O's of the CFL, you may argue this point, but I think accuracy isn't as important in the CFL as it is in the NFL for two reasons. One, the field is larger in the CFL. And so you have more room for lead passes. You don't have to hit those, tough trench kind of passes all the time over the middle because you have so much room. And because the CFL is such a downfield aerial type of game, there's more bombs. And so you're relying on more big plays by the receivers. And then finally, what kind of legs this guy has. We know the history in the CFL of running quarterbacks, the Casey Printers of the world and some of those kinds of guys. I think that Troy Smith is a tremendous signing by the Alouettes. And if all goes well, if he can grasp this game, he could be a second or third stringer next year. But I agree with you. This year, it's got to be Nusswinder. Let's see what he has.
We both agree on that. Nusswinder deserves the opportunity. He's been in the system longer. The question that comes up with Troy Smith moving forward is how quickly will he adapt to the CFL game? How quickly will he understand the angles of the CFL game? How quickly will he understand the offense? And who knows if that offense will still be there, if Doug Barry will be there or not come next June, July at training camp. So really for Troy Smith, he's got to learn all these things. But also, the knock, again, as I said before, is his accuracy, the lack of accuracy.
And you think it's just as big a problem in the CFL as it would be?
It's a huge problem, Matt. Football is based on three things for a quarterback.
Timing.
Your ability to process a play, and how accurate are you. Drew Brees isn't the strongest arm quarterback out there, nor is he the tallest quarterback, but he's a very accurate player out there when throwing the football. And that's what you want from your quarterback is how accurate can he be on the football field. Who cares if he can throw the football 85 yards down the field like Jamarcus Russell can? It doesn't do anything for him at this level. He has to be the guy that
What about the mobility side of things here? Can they not tailor an offense to his specific skill set?
Sure, but you know what, though? That's the same thing with the CFL, right? They can do that, no problem here. But the question that comes up, though, is when it's 2nd and 8 and you can't run, can he make that completion? When it's 2nd and long, like 2nd and 15, can he make that completion?
I think decision making is more important than accuracy in the CFL. That's my take. That's my take. We'll talk more about this. Let's continue the debate on the other side of the break. We'll also take your calls as well. 514-790-1690. You want to talk about the Owls? You want to talk about their loss yesterday and what you saw? We'll get to that next. It's Game Points.